Now, should the British taxpayer fund police protection for Meghan and Harry when they come to the UK? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Give us a call right now. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex were due to visit next month with their children Archie and Lilibet, but Harry is said to be reconsidering bringing his family after the Home Office rejected his request for police protection. Well, reports say the Prince is now distraught. The family had planned to be in the UK for a few days, attending events in London and the Midlands. As non-working royals who live in the US, the government's decided not to provide them with state-funded security. And this means they'll have to bring their own private detail unless they're staying in a royal residence or are accompanying a senior member of the royal family. Now, it's not known how much it would cost the taxpayer to foot the bill for police protection. But speaking to the BBC last year, Harry made his case for getting it.
My status hasn't changed. It can't change. I am who I am. I am part of what I'm part of, and I can never escape that. My circumstances will always be the same. So for me...
Well, that was Prince Harry speaking to Neda Teofik after he lost a legal battle to have police security when he's in the UK. Mike, what do you think about this one then? Should they have the police protection when they come to visit the UK?
No. Harry doesn't deserve any special treatment whatsoever. He opted to get out of the royal family entirely, signed a deal with Netflix for $100 million. That's why he went. He went to capitalise on his fame as a member of the royal family, the most famous family in the world, went and commercialised it over in America, and at the same time betrayed his family terribly when he not only did huge TV interviews, but wrote a book called Spare, and double-crossed his family, making accusations about, his stepmother, the Queen, and appalling behaviour in my view. Now, he's suddenly, over the last sort of 10 days, out of the blue, announced he's coming and he might bring the children. He's trying to blackmail the royal family into saying, we better give him royal protection. But the people who sort this out, it's a committee called RAVIC, OK? They diplomatic and VIP and royals and all that. They have considered it once and turned it down. They were asked to reconsider it. They reconsidered and said, no, it still doesn't qualify. The moment he was told you still don't qualify for royal protection security, he suddenly changed his mind and said he's not coming. But he hadn't told the authorities in this country he was coming in the first place. I think he's trying to go public again. I think the shine and the glamour of Harry and Meghan in America has become tarnished. It's wearing away, and he's looking to revive it.
He says he doesn't feel safe. He doesn't feel safe bringing his family here if he doesn't have the security.
Yeah, and I would feel exactly the same as well. I think people forget and they kind of conflate, between Harry, the person in the royal family, as a private family, and then Harry, the prince. And at the end of the day, he was born into this. He didn't ask to be born
No, but
as
he
a
has
royal.
to get out.
And
he has to get out.
Yeah, he has to get out.
And he got out.
No, Mike, you're acting as if Harry is asking for lunch money or something from the king. He's not.
No,
he doesn't get anything.
Privilege.
No, what he's asking for
He gave away the privilege of being in the royal family. Now he wants the privilege.
He was born into that, though. He doesn't have a choice.
But he didn't want to be in it anymore.
Taking a step back.
He wanted to get out.
To the throne, though,
and by the way, if he comes to this country, he will be given the same protection as anybody else in this country, and if he goes anywhere near another member of the royal family, he will be protected. What he wants is...
Mike, Harry, Al-Qaeda have asked for Harry's murder.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised after he printed a book saying he'd top 25
This is about the risk.
Al-Qaeda people.
He also is an ex-person in the military, right?
Yeah.
And also he's a royal that was born into it, like we've just said.
Yeah.
And also, even when Meghan was living here, she had white substances, suspicious substances sent to her with a racist message. There's always been the risk there. Just because he's not a working royal does not mean that the risk just all of a sudden evaporates.
What Harry wants is, he wants a Land Rover front and back, blue flashing lights, motorcycle outriders, armour-proof cars. That's all he wants. He can come to this country, he's got enough money privately. He can hire his own plane and come to this country. He can land.
And by the way,
he doesn't have to go public.
I'm glad you said that, Mike, because he has actually offered to pay for this security. And this is why I think that all of this is so incredibly petty.
No. There are some stories that never seem to disappear from the headlines, and this is undoubtedly one of them. Every time Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's relationship with the United Kingdom comes back into focus, one question quickly rises above all the others. Who should pay for their security? It's a debate that continues to divide opinions across Britain and around the world. Now, fresh reports suggest that Prince Harry is once again reconsidering plans to return to the UK after another setback over police protection. The conversation has reignited, and once again supporters and critics are taking very different positions. But behind the heated opinions is a much bigger discussion about responsibility, fairness, public money, and how the royal family has changed in recent years. Welcome back to Sussex Strong, where we separate facts from outrage, challenge the loudest narratives, and take a closer look at the stories that dominate royal headlines. If you enjoy balanced discussions that question the constant criticism aimed at Harry and Meghan, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join our growing community. Your support helps this conversation continue, and we'd love to hear your perspective in the comments as we explore today's topic. For years now, Prince Harry has maintained that security is not simply a luxury, but an essential necessity for himself, Meghan, and their children whenever they are in Britain. His position has remained remarkably consistent. Harry argues that because of his birth, his military service, his public profile, and the intense level of media attention surrounding his family, they face risks unlike those experienced by most people. From his perspective, returning to Britain without adequate security arrangements creates concerns that cannot simply be ignored. His critics, however, see the matter very differently. They point out that Harry and Meghan chose to step away from their roles as working members of the royal family in 2020. They relocated to the United States, established independent business ventures, signed commercial agreements, and repeatedly emphasized their desire to build a financially independent life. Those decisions, critics argue, naturally came with consequences. If they are no longer carrying out official royal duties on behalf of the British state, many believe taxpayers should not be expected to cover the cost of protecting them during private visits. This disagreement lies at the very heart of the debate. Is security a permanent responsibility attached to being born into the royal family? Or is it something connected primarily to official public service? The answer depends largely on which side of the discussion someone finds more convincing. Supporters of Harry often remind people that security threats do not disappear simply because someone changes jobs or moves to another country. Being born the son of King Charles is not something Harry can walk away from. His identity remains the same regardless of where he lives. His military career, including service in Afghanistan, has also been cited as a reason why security experts have previously assessed him as facing unique risks. From this perspective, supporters argue that security decisions should be based on actual threat assessments rather than public opinion or political popularity. Those who oppose taxpayer-funded protection acknowledge those concerns, but still argue that government resources must have limits. They point out that Britain faces enormous financial pressures, including rising healthcare costs, policing demands, housing challenges, and economic uncertainty. Every pound spent on protecting private individuals, they argue, is money that cannot be spent elsewhere. To them, public resources should primarily support serving citizens and working public officials rather than individuals who no longer perform official duties for the monarchy. What often gets lost in these passionate exchanges is that this discussion is not simply about Harry and Meghan themselves. It also raises broader questions about how modern constitutional monarchies should function. The royal family has evolved considerably over recent decades. Expectations surrounding public funding, transparency and accountability have all changed. Decisions that may once have been accepted without question now face far greater public scrutiny. Buckingham Palace has generally avoided becoming deeply involved in these debates publicly, allowing government departments and legal processes to address security arrangements. That approach reflects the constitutional position of the monarchy, where many operational decisions are handled independently from the sovereign. Yet, despite those institutional boundaries, many people continue connecting every security dispute directly to King Charles, assuming he personally controls outcomes that are often determined through established governmental procedures. That misunderstanding has fueled countless online arguments. Some critics accuse the king of failing to support his younger son, while others insist that he has absolutely no obligation to intervene. Reality, as is often the case, tends to be more complicated than the simplified narratives dominating social media. Harry's supporters also argue that the issue is about consistency. They believe that because Harry remains one of the world's most recognised public figures, security arrangements should reflect objective assessments rather than changes in employment status. They question whether reducing publicly coordinated protection actually improves safety or merely shifts the burden elsewhere. On the other side, critics frequently respond that many prominent public figures arrange private security every day without relying on taxpayers. Wealthy celebrities, business leaders, politicians after leaving office, and other internationally recognized individuals routinely hire professional protection using their own financial resources. From that perspective, Harry and Meghan possess sufficient resources to do exactly the same whenever they choose to travel. This is where emotions often begin, overshadowing practical considerations. Discussions about Harry and Meghan rarely remain focused solely on policy. Instead, they quickly become arguments about personal feelings toward the couple themselves. People who admire them often interpret criticism as unfair hostility. Those who dislike them sometimes dismiss every concern they raise without examining its merits individually. That polarization has become one of the defining features of almost every Sussex-related conversation. Nuance often disappears. Either Harry is portrayed as demanding special treatment, or he is presented as a victim facing impossible circumstances. Yet real life rarely fits neatly into either extreme. One important question deserves careful consideration. Should public safety decisions ever become popularity contests? Security professionals generally make recommendations based on intelligence, risk analysis, operational capability, and threat information unavailable to the public. If genuine risks exist, should funding decisions reflect those risks regardless of public opinion? Or should elected governments prioritise broader fiscal responsibility even when certain individuals remain at elevated risk? Reasonable people can disagree on those questions without questioning each other's motives. Another aspect worth discussing is the financial reality. Critics often point to Harry and Meghan's reported commercial success since leaving royal duties. Through media partnerships, speaking engagements, publishing projects and business ventures, they are widely viewed as financially capable of paying for extensive private protection. Supporters acknowledge that possibility, while emphasising that private security cannot necessarily replace specialised policing powers available only through official government coordination. That distinction frequently gets overlooked. Private security teams can provide significant protection, but they generally do not possess the same legal authority, intelligence access, or policing capabilities as official law enforcement. Whether that difference justifies taxpayer funding remains the central point of disagreement. Meanwhile, media coverage continues amplifying every development. Headlines often frame the story as a battle between Harry and Britain, or Harry versus the royal family. Such framing attracts enormous public attention, but sometimes oversimplifies an issue involving legal processes, government policy, security assessments, constitutional conventions, and public finance. For Sussex supporters, another frustration is the perception that Harry's concerns are regularly dismissed before being seriously examined. They argue that whenever he raises security issues, some commentators immediately portray him as entitled rather than considering why he continues emphasizing the subject years after stepping away from royal duties. Critics counter that Harry himself has contributed to the controversy through interviews, documentaries, and memoirs discussing private royal matters, while simultaneously requesting certain forms of public support. To them, independence should also mean accepting complete financial responsibility for associated costs. Both perspectives continue finding audiences because each contains arguments that resonate with different values. Some prioritize personal safety above all else. Others prioritize accountability for public spending. Neither concern is inherently unreasonable. What this debate ultimately reveals is how deeply divided public opinion remains regarding Harry and Meghan. 6 years after stepping away from official royal life, almost every news story involving the Sussexes still generates enormous international attention. Few public figures provoke stronger reactions. Every announcement, legal decision, interview, or reported disagreement rapidly becomes global news. For Sussex Strong, one of the most important goals is encouraging viewers to look beyond sensational headlines. Not every criticism aimed at Harry and Meghan deserves automatic acceptance, just as not every defence should escape scrutiny. Careful analysis requires asking questions, considering evidence, and recognizing complexity even when social media encourages simple conclusions. As discussions continue, one thing seems certain. Security debates are unlikely to disappear anytime soon. Future visits to Britain will probably raise similar questions unless a long-term arrangement eventually satisfies all parties involved. Whether that happens remains uncertain. Public opinion itself may also continue evolving. Younger generations often hold different views regarding monarchy, taxation, government responsibility, and celebrity culture than previous generations. Those changing attitudes could gradually influence how future debates unfold. Until then, the conversation remains open. Should Harry receive publicly funded police protection whenever he visits Britain because of unique security risks tied to his birth and public profile? Or should he personally finance all security arrangements because he no longer serves as a working royal? There are passionate arguments supporting both positions, and ultimately every viewer will reach their own conclusion. One thing we should all remember, however, is that respectful debate is far more valuable than personal attacks. Disagreeing with someone's position does not require questioning their character, and supporting someone does not mean ignoring legitimate questions about public policy. Healthy democracies depend on thoughtful discussions where different opinions can coexist. As always, we'd love to hear what you think. Should British taxpayers fund police protection for Prince Harry and Meghan during visits to the UK, or should they rely entirely on privately funded security? Share your thoughts in the comments below, but please keep the discussion respectful and constructive. We feature thoughtful comments in future videos, so your perspective could become part of our next conversation. If you enjoyed today's discussion and appreciate content that challenges one-sided narratives while taking a deeper look at royal news, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Sussex Strong, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest updates. Every subscription helps this community grow. Every comment keeps the conversation alive, and every share allows more people to hear balanced discussions about the stories shaping the future of the royal family. Thank you for watching, thank you for supporting Sussex Strong, and we'll see you in the next video with more thoughtful analysis, more engaging discussions, and more opportunities to challenge the headlines together.